What is up? What is up? We should be live. Welcome back to another episode of Manny's Christmas special. Oh, actually, we have two lights today, as you can see here in the background. We've got one here and one here. This is because today is the second Advent. I wish you all a happy second Advent, my friends. Let me know what the quality is like as usual. You know the deal. I hope everything runs smoothly. I hope you can see me and hear me perfectly. The setup should be fine, just like it was last time. Yeah, some feedback would be appreciated as always. And if you're at it, drop a like on the stream. Always helps the algorithms. Maybe a couple more people see the stream like that. All right. We're gonna do the usual routine. I'm gonna ramble about some stuff from the previous week, and then we're gonna answer some questions, I would say, if you have some. Let's see. As usual, the training update. You're so curious about the training, right? You're so curious about the gains. Let's get that out of the way right away. So we had this amazing outdoor bouldering session. I think, when was it? On Monday or Tuesday or something, beginning of the week. And it's just great, coming to the crag, coming to the block. And there was, from the session, I had one session on this block already, where I could flash some 7Bs and did a 7C plus, and I already checked out the moves of this 8A traverse that I posted the video of, I think, this week, Tuesday. So I think the bouldering session actually happened on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And I got on the moves on the 8A already on Monday. No, on the session before that Monday it was. And then I got there on Monday and tried the boulder for the first time. And that's basically when it got to the last move already, where I still had the wrong beta. I don't know, last time somebody told me that it's usually easier to just simply, catch this jug on the right end of the boulder. But the problem is this jug is completely dirty and wet and everything. So I catch the slab there in my desperateness, because I was super pumped already, slipping off completely, like ripping my hand open at 4 different, spots. Coming down, sliding down. The cool thing about this problem is that you don't really need a lot of crash pads to try it. Actually, you don't need any crash pads, because you're always climbing at a height where you can actually just step down. If you feel that you can't do the move, you can just step down from the problem, and this way you relax a little bit. Yeah. So that's why I didn't need a lot of pads. That was great, because I have my pads stored in another place at the moment, actually. And so it happened. I fell from the last move, essentially sliding down the boulder, then rested one time, and next attempt I got through it. Yeah, because I did change the beta at the end a little bit. The matching was crucial for the left hand there, and not going for the jug on the right hand, but with the left hand, which is above, going with the left hand up. That was the solution to this crux, actually. So that was the outdoor bouldering session from Monday, where I posted the video off on Tuesday. Yeah. And I felt just super solid on that boulder. 2 degrees outdoors, no sun. It was one of these sessions where you just have to keep moving, You just have to keep moving all the time. Warming up from the point where you warm up your fingers, you just have to keep moving to keep the warmth in your fingertips. Yeah. Yeah, and so it happened, essentially. That was a great fitness check, I have the impression. It was just amazing to see that these crimps that I can really bite into those crimps. I could definitely feel that the gains were there from the previous training on the home wall, essentially, which is almost the same exact stimulus. I have the impression, you have to hold some holds just super actively. You crank them down super actively, and then you bring this fitness to the outdoors, where you, in addition to bad holds, you have good friction, because it's cold outside. You have rough surfaces of the stone, of the rock, and this helps you actually in indoor settings. It's a little harder. Oh, thanks a lot. Woo. We've got some beautiful tea here in the live stream receptacle. It's a little bit dark, huh? It's a little bit dark. Give some feedback, maybe, how you... Oh, that's a lot better. That's a lot better. It's a little bit better. I think we're gonna roll with that. I hope you're not distracted here by the mic that's coming into the screen. The thing is that somehow my Rode Video Mic Pro seems to be broken. Okay, so we're gonna roll with the Zoom H1 directly here with the audio input. I hope that works as well. Got some beautiful tea here in a live stream receptacle. Today we're going with the Otterkringer again, Otterkringer live stream receptacle. I guess I have to let that cool down a little bit before I take a sip. In Cypher, what's up, man? Welcome back to the stream. Servus, says in Cypher. Servus in Cypher, what's up? Can you give me some feedback? Do you hear me? Can you see me? Is the audio quality nice? Nee, das Mic passt schon. Ein wenig zu viel Rauschen, aber die Helligkeit vielleicht noch ein wenig hoch. Yeah, that's the problem here. You rather, you always have to decide, do you want to go for a cozy, dark, gloomy feel, or do you want to have it bright and, with being able to see every single detail? I personally like the dark, gloomy feel, especially when we are rocking now this Christmas. We know we are approaching the Christmas theme, so to say. So yeah, it's the 2nd of Advent, and we want to keep it a little bit more cozy. Yeah, outdoors. By the way, it rains now. It started raining, I think, 2 hours ago or something. I think more in the west of Austria, they actually have huge problems with big snowfalls and rainfalls and everything. The avalanche warnings are sky high, as they have since, I don't know, 2 years not have been or something. So yeah, crazy pouring down snow and pouring down rain here in Austria at the moment. Crazy weather conditions. So I'm gonna just take a little sip here real quickly. Wenig zu viel Rauschen. Maybe it's a little bit too close, huh? Let's move it away a little bit. Let's see if it gets better. It's just so crazy that you can't really test, You just have to rely on feedback, because you can't really test with this live control room of YouTube, or maybe you could, but I'm a little bit too lazy to find out how. Ooh, this tea is pretty nice. So that was the first session of this week, man. This outdoor bouldering session where we crushed this 8A traverse, which was just amazing, yeah. There I could already feel, okay, actually I already need something harder. Yeah, I need something harder, more in the direction of 8A plus, 8B or something, to challenge my fitness at this point, because the home wall has really conditioned my fingertips, and yeah, it's time actually to attack something harder once this bad weather period is over, which hopefully is gonna blow over soon. Yeah, maybe next week or something. Yeah. What would be ideal? 5 degrees with sun or something like that. That's what I would need, yeah, to really attack some hard stuff. I already have something in mind. So yeah, and apart from that, then the weather became really bad, and I just stayed indoors, man. Created some new holes for the home wall. Also received actually some new holes for the home wall from someone else out there, which was really cool. I'm gonna try to feature all of that stuff in upcoming videos. I hope you enjoy. You're gonna enjoy them. And then we had a couple of indoor bouldering sessions on the home wall, and a pretty cool core session, actually. During this core session, I had my best handstand push-up performance that I ever had. I cracked the 10 handstand push-ups challenge, so to say, that I set myself. I wanted to be able to do 10 handstand push-ups back to back, and this week it finally happened. That was amazing too. I got it on video, got a shot from it, so maybe I do a little bit of a journey to 10 handstand push-ups kind of video style or something like that. That would be interesting, I think. And today we finished the week off with another bouldering session in the morning, and now a hangboard session in the evening. And on that bouldering session, I repeated my first 8A of this, bouldering wall that I, arbitrarily kind of admittedly graded 8A, because I don't really have anything for comparison, but it definitely felt as hard as this freaking traverse. So actually the traverse went down quite a lot quicker than this 8A, because this one actually took me a couple of sessions on the home wall. And the 8A outdoors, again, it went down pretty quickly, second session. So first 8A is done on the home wall. Cracked 10 handstand push-ups. didn't crack my record on the hangboard yet, which is I think close to 5 kilograms of assisted weight on the 15 millimeter one armors. Today we got down to 6.5, so quite a bit away from my record, from 1.5 kilograms away from my personal best. But it was quite soon after the bouldering session, so I guess I'm a little bit more tired in my forearms already. And tomorrow is going to be a rest day, and then we should be fully recovered for whatever is happening after there. I think it's going to be another indoor session because it's going to take a little while until this rain is blown over. This moist weather period that we are going through here in Austria at the moment. All right, my friends. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about right at the beginning of the stream. As you can see here, this is the weekly flexible regimen that we are going with. There's quite a couple of crosses there, man. That looks not very pretty. But you know, the most recent week actually looks pretty pretty. I only have one cross there, which is a lawn session, which I think I'm gonna, cut out of my regimen because I don't really have access to any lawn at the moment anymore. All the lawns out there are full of snow and moist and wet and everything, so you can't really use them anyway. And it's super cold outside as well. But I get my cardio sessions in every week. I do a little bit of running. Okay, I would say, and the cross is above that because I felt a little bit cranky at one point, and at another point I built the home wall, so there was a lot of stuff to do, man. And also this week it was super busy. 4 climbing sessions, 2 hangboard sessions, 1 cardio session, 1 core session. So yeah, training-wise, a really busy week, but I feel so good, and the gains keep coming, and this is something that is always motivating, All right, my friends, a couple of people have tuned in. Welcome to the live stream. This is the second edition of Manny the Monkey's Christmas special live streams. We've got 2 wonderful lights in the background representing the 2nd of Advent. Happy 2nd of Advent, my friends. Let's read some comments, I would say. Istvan Ivanchko is back on the stream. Ivancho, sorry. I think you're the guy who told me how to pronounce the name, actually, huh? Istvan Ivancho. Welcome back, man. How are you doing? Unfortunately, I have to go to bed. I wish you a good live stream. Thanks, man. I will listen to it tomorrow, as usually. But one question. I bought a crash pad 2 years ago that I actually never use. How should I store it in my flat? Standing. Should I turn it sometimes, or doesn't it matter at all? Well, if you have the space for it, if you, I think as long as it's storing not in complete, temperature alternations, like in your car, for example, where it could freeze during the night of, I don't know, -5 degrees, and then during the day it goes up to 10 degrees or something. As long as it's not completely temperature-wise alternating, I wouldn't care too much about it, yeah. Now, I think in your flat, if it's quite constant at 20 degrees Celsius, that's ideal conditions for storing. If it doesn't get wet or moist, the only question is, have you enough space in your flat? Okay, do you really want to occupy space of your flat with crash pads? That's always the tricky question. Yeah. But when it comes to storing conditions, I wouldn't see any problem at all with that. Actually, I'm storing my crash pads in a lot worse conditions, mostly outdoors. At some certain problems, when I'm projecting something for a little longer, I usually store the crash pads there if it's allowed, because oh, thanks. Because it's just more practical like that, right? Let's move on to Michael Punschochar. I think you were on the stream as well once. Hi, Manny. Hangboarding question. What do you think about recruitment pulls? It's when you don't have additional weight available for 2 arm hangs, so you pull body weight as hard as you can with 1 arm, even though you cannot pull yourself off the ground. Yeah, the problem that I have with that is that it's quite static. First of all, right? It's kind of like it mimics a little bit of dead hang situation. You're pulling in a static position, so you're recruiting those muscles. Yes, you're recruiting them, obviously, but you're recruiting them only at one position, at one angle, at one level of extendedness, so to say. And this is, I don't know, nowadays I don't think that is so good anymore, that it is as good at least as doing an actual pull-up. Doing an actual pull-up is just amazing because it recruits those muscles at all various angles, yeah, and it gets pretty close to what we actually have to do when we climb. We pull ourselves up, yeah, we are climbing upwards. So that's why I love the assisted one-armers, man. The assisted one-armers just carry over just amazingly, okay? That's my impression, at least. And I only do that. I don't do any dead hang training these days anymore. And I'm just pushing those numbers, pushing the number on the assisting weight, yeah? Just getting the assisting weight lower and lower and lower, slowly, until you arrive at the point where you're just about 4-3-2 kilograms away. And usually when you're 4-3-2 kilograms away, you can try a one armor, okay? And if you're lucky, you might even get it done. Yeah, because actually holding the assisting weight on a pulley system kind of brings you a little bit out of the focus, a little bit out of the center of gravity, or the mechanical ideal position, or whatever you want to call it. And if you just let go of that and then just simply try a one armor, maybe with a little bit of momentum, then you might even actually get it done. But you have to be so close. You have to be 4-3-2 kilograms away on the assisting weight pulley system. Yeah, at the moment I'm 5.5 kilograms away, so I still need to make significant gains to get there. But yeah, it would be cool if I get it done during this training cycle. Yeah. At the moment, it looks pretty good because I'm still breaking my personal best just so quickly and so high, in such a high frequency. But yeah, when it comes to the recruitment pools that you mentioned, yeah, I would say it's a little bit like dead hangs, if it is like dead hangs, because it is something different to have the goal, so to say, to pull your body weight from the ground and having it hovering above the ground. Okay, this is a kind of goal that is amazing to achieve from a psychological point of view. If you're just pulling harder and harder and harder, and you have nothing to like compare your hangs, so to say, to compare your hang to your previous hang and stuff like that, because how do you measure then your progress, right? How do you measure whether you were able to pull more than last session? All these things are extremely important when it comes to keeping motivation, and I don't really see how you can do that with these recruitment pools. You could step on a scale, for example. Stepping on a scale, that's a valid option, actually, okay? The not so cool thing about a scale is that you have to look down all the time, yeah? Unless you have a scale that kind of puts your result up somehow. If you don't, you have to look down all the time. That could influence your performance, actually, yeah? Yeah, you could film the scale, obviously, but then it gets getting pretty complicated. Then you have to look at the camera all the time and look how heavy you pull and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of possibilities, but the best is just by far still a pulley system. Yeah, and then you regulate your weight. You also have to measure how much friction there is in that pulley system to actually get to your weight, to the real weight that arrives at your hand, which is something that is quite different often, actually, from what you're loading on the pulley system in terms of assisting weight. Yeah, so this is something that you have to keep in mind as well. But yeah, the problem with the recruitment pools is that you don't really have something to compare to, in my opinion, and you only pulling at one position. Yeah, so you don't really get the whole range of motion into your exercise. Yeah, which is something that is probably important for when it comes to carrying that strength over into actual climbing, where we move upwards. Yeah, we are not statically just hanging on holds when we climb. We move upwards. In Cypher, I started as well to build up a home wall. Congrats, man. Congrats. I wish you much success. Do you have some tips for purchasing some cheap holds besides requesting in climbing gyms? I would build wooden holes, man. Just go for wooden holes. Go to your local hardware store and get some simple spruce rods. Yeah, I think mine was like 4 or 5 centimeters in diameter. You take a rasp and you get rasping, yeah, or you rasping off surfaces of that hole, simple stuff, and then you get a drilling machine and drill some holes in there, get some screws and screw them on. This is the simplest way, and these holes are just amazing. Okay, I wouldn't want to exchange them with any climbing gym holes that I could get. The climbing gym holes they always have this kind of sanding on them, so you can work with a lot more friction. On the wooden holes, the cool thing is that you don't have a lot of friction. Okay, they are quite smooth, and this is amazing because it forces you to crank down on those holes actively. If you don't want to slip off, you have to crank down those holes actively, and you're gonna feel that in your fingertips, not on your skin, but inside. Okay, inside of your fingertips, on the bones actually, or I don't know what it is, or on the flesh. But because it's getting compressed so freaking hard, you're gonna feel it afterwards. It's gonna be kind of like a little muscle ache. Today I feel it again because I had an intense bouldering session in the morning today, which was amazing. But yeah, that's why I love these wooden holes. Yeah, just get some wood from the hardware store. If you live somewhere where the hardware stores are closed at the moment, then go into the forest, freaking forest, collect some wood. Admittedly, then you have to have some sort of rasps, some sort of tools at home to be able to work with that wood. Yeah, but wood is everywhere. Okay, it's light, it's functional, it's amazing. It works for so many purposes. And here we have Mike K. Mike K from the Polish Jura again. Hi from the Polish Jura. What's up? Welcome back to the stream, man. I'm always writing from Jura because I moved here a few months ago with my family from Krakow. Sounds like a good move, man. Sounds like a good move. My question for you. I started climbing 3 years ago. Progress is slow as I started when I was 39. Okay, that means you're 42 now. Fitness is generally very good as I was playing competitive tennis since I was 8 years old. Okay, nice. During the indoor season, I bowler, power endurance circuits to build the base on Tuesday and Thursday, plus lead on Sunday. Okay. What else can I incorporate to build strength? Weighted pull-ups and hangboard. On what day? Thanks a lot. Well, if you want to increase climbing performance, I would rather go with a hangboard than the pull-ups. I think that pull-ups on a bar, on a super big jog, are not really carrying over into climbing performance. If you want to go for calisthenics or stuff like that, then by all means do it. But if you want to go for climbing performance, I would rather go with the hangboard. If you say you do your Tuesday and Thursday circuits plus lead on Sunday, there's a big gap between Thursday and Sunday. Then I would try doing a hangboard session on Friday. Do the Saturday for a rest day, then do the lead on Sunday, and then repeat. Okay. So you start by incorporating one hangboard session on Friday. Actually, that's what I would do. And how do you start hangboarding? I mean, look, normally I don't recommend to anybody to hangboard super much or that it's necessary or anything like that. The question is always how much more efficient is it to hangboard compared to, going climbing if you don't have time to climb, yeah? Because climbing takes a lot more time, especially climbing outdoors. You have to get to the crag, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot easier to have a hangboard at home where you just invest 1 hour of your day and do a session and thereby get at least some sort of training stimulus in that hopefully carries over into climbing performance, right? So if you can't do anything else, yeah, if let's say outdoor performance is your focus, then I would rather recommend you just get more outdoor meters in, yeah? If this is something you cannot do because you have other responsibilities, blah, 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 family, job, whatever, studying, then you get a hangboard and you do a hangboard session on Friday. Yeah, because on Friday, that's a big gap to Sunday. There you have time for this kind of stuff. And what do? You do some basic beginner hangboarding drills. Like I have a video, I think, on the main channel, which is called Hangboard Session for Beginners or something. You could check that out. I think it's just some simple basic 8-second hangs or something on a very simple edge with like 2 minutes to 3 minutes rest, just to get used to the hold, okay? To get used to your holds, to get used to the training grips, which is the half crimp that you should use most of the time. You can also use the 3 fingers open, for example. Do not full crimp, okay? Do not full crimp. That's basically all you need to know. And then go from there. The next thing you can try out is repeaters, and then from there you can try out max hangs, something like that hangs, yeah? Two-handed max hangs, that is, with a little bit of bonus weight maybe, and then you go from there, and you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And at some point, you want to start pushing your numbers, yeah? This is simply it, man. Jean Ramses is back on stream. Hi, Manny. What's up, Jean? How do you do? Mike says, unfortunately, I cannot watch your whole Q&A session live as I got my child and this is the time she goes to bed. But I always watch it the next day while driving. It's great to hear, man. Yeah, children have priority, man. No problems at all. No issues at all with that. Go for it. Jacob is back on stream. What's up, man? Michael Chokar, try negatives, says Jacob. Yeah, it's also quite good. Negatives is kind of what I meant, with going the whole way of the range of motion, but from up to down, which is also quite interesting. You're locking that thing off at max, max nose to the edge essentially, and then letting yourself fall down by giving as much resistance as possible. Still, I would say the assisted pull up, contrary to the negative, into the other direction upwards is a little bit more climbing like, obviously, because when climbing, we're also not letting ourselves fall down. And I think I got a little bit better results still with the assisted pull-ups. Yeah, but the negatives at least get your whole range of motion into the game. And this is something that is probably generally good when it comes to carrying over that strength on rock. Chili Chad, also back on stream. What's up, Chili? Welcome back. It's got a funny question here. Your opinions on slab climbing. Is it just hard walking? No, definitely not, man. There is super fingery slab climbing out there, man. I did a slab, or should I say slab? Maybe it was just a technical vertical wall, but this was almost a slab. Back in Leonidio, I did a slab in Greece. First Greece trip that I ever made to Leonidio. I did an 8B, which incorporated a boulder. It was kind of a boulder on a slab, really. Very vertical, okay? Not overhanging at all, almost slabby. Super vertical, small footholds, and these small crimps, little pinches and stuff like that. Super active to hold, okay? It really depends. Not all slabs are just super, toe climbing, essentially, just climbing with your toe nails and you're getting sore on the toes instead of your fingers or stuff like that. Most of them are, okay? Most of them are. And when it comes to these old school climbs and stuff, a lot of it is really having the ability to trust your feet, knowing how much you can stress your climbing shoe rubber and stuff like that before it just simply slips off. It's actually a pretty interesting style, okay? And I don't even dislike it. I had my times when I did it more so because, a lot of these beginner areas around Vienna, they are a little bit more slabby, and you get this kind of climbing a little bit in, yeah, if you start there with your journey as a climber, so to say. However, if you want to progress into the harder grades of nowadays, I just call them now, yeah, the harder grades of nowadays, like something 8A, 8B or something, usually even in the old school areas, you're just not gonna find 8A slabs or 8B slabs or something. It stops there at around 7B, 7C, because already then an old school 7C slab or something is just super crazy hard, okay? on your toes and everything. You have to have a lot of technique, a lot of precision and stuff like that. If you want to progress into the harder stuff that is graded beyond that, you have to realize back in the day, they did not even think about climbing overhangs. Okay, they didn't get the idea because they thought from the beginning, okay, climbing overhangs is just impossible. Nobody would climb there. It's just so formidable. It looks impossible to conquer. You have to imagine if you're coming from a slab, it looks like it's pretty much impossible. Also, nobody had the upper body strength. Climbing gyms didn't exist. Okay, the modern training torture chambers of nowadays, they didn't exist back then. So what they really had was a lot of technique and experience, but only with the Slavian technical and vertical terrain. An overhang was pretty much unheard of. Yeah. Once that mindset got broken, once it got removed and replaced by the gym rats who just conquered these overhangs and then found that actually you sort of need overhangs to progress into even harder grades, then it started to develop again into a different direction. Yeah? So this is how I see it nowadays. And it's interesting, these people, if they would have known back then that overhangs can be easier actually than certain slabs in terms of grading, they would probably have tried it, and they would have succeeded with it, and then it wouldn't be such a big issue. Wouldn't have been such a big issue. Yeah? Nowadays, of course, we've got the gym rats, which are super strong in the upper body and have no technique at all. And for them, now the slabs are again, with a lot of slabs, they think, okay, they are just impossible. How can I get up these? It's just super blank. Yeah, for the old schoolers, this was their thing. Yeah, they had the precision, they had this kind of stuff. If you want to progress into the really hard grades nowadays, I would suggest you rather go more into the direction of the gym rat, okay? Go more into the direction of outdoor bouldering, overhangs, finger strength divided by body weight, okay? There is a limit when it comes to technique in climbing, and this is actually a lot lower than you think. I think somebody who climbs a day, pretty much has all the technical stuff down. There is not much more that's gonna surprise him in a technical way beyond a day. That's just not gonna happen. What's gonna surprise him is the freaking badness of the holes. Okay, the smallness, the crappiness of the holes, the freaking huge distance between these holes. These are things that's gonna surprise him still. Because that's what makes routes hard beyond the 8A. But in terms of technical stuff, rarely something surprises him beyond 8A. Okay, this is the experience that I made at least. David Hansa says, welcome to the stream, David. I think that's a new name. Have you ever tried 4mm edge hang? No. The smallest I have on my hangboard is my self-made 5mm edge with a 5mm radius rounding. So basically the biggest rounding that you can get on a 5mm edge. And I can hang this one. I don't know actually if I can at the moment because I haven't tried, but I could hang this one just in a dead hang fashion without any bonus weight, like 3 seconds or something. I could hang it. Yeah? Really, really tough edge. And I want to emphasize that hanging below this edge size, below 6mm, 5mm, stuff like this, it is rather training pain resistance than just pure finger strength or anything else. Yeah? It is rather really conditioning those fingertips to become really hard, like a Shaolin monk who punches against rocks and stuff like that to, strengthen his knuckles or stuff. This is how you train on super small. This is the micro hangboarding topic, right? Really, does it go down into finger strength a lot? If you could, at the same time, like train assisted one armors, let's say on a 10mm edge, would that not rather be the better training? Probably, yeah. Because also on the outdoors, there's freaking bad holes on the outdoors, don't get me wrong, but a 4mm edge, it's rarely occurring, yeah. It's rather the 10 millimeter edge, which you have to campus down like crazy or stuff like that. So here again, you gotta think about diminishing returns essentially, or what gives you the most power on rock. And I would suggest that rather the 10 millimeter edge, one-armed with the assisted one-armer fashion, is carrying over more into rock climbing performance than the hanging the 4 millimeter edge for 2 seconds in a dead hang fashion. But yeah, I have not ever tried a 4 millimeter edge because I don't have one. Ohmic Contact is back on the stream. Welcome back, Ohmic Contact. My electric friend. You sound so electric with your ohmic name. Like a resistor, an electrical resistor. This year, I lost 35 pounds, but I'm still 280 pounds. When I diet effectively, I get irritated more easily. Yeah, we all have that. Any advice for how to diet/train hard while maintaining domestic bliss? You formulated it quite nicely, I must say. While maintaining domestic bliss. I mean, I don't know if you might have tried that already, yeah? A lot of people who want to lose weight actually have tried it. But you could try a ketogenic approach. Usually what a ketogenic approach does, it supplies you with a lot of nutrients, but not with that the nutrient to calorie ratio is very much on the nutrient side when it comes to the ketogenic approach. Yeah? If you're just fasting and you're running on carbs on your refeeds, then you're always going to have these cravings. And I feel that these cravings is rather what makes people irritable and what makes them unsatisfied, because they permanently get these blood sugar dips, okay? Because when they refeed again, they get a blood sugar spike, then they get insulin, blood sugar drops, and then you get a craving, yeah? Then you get irritated like that. It seems to be less of an issue with a ketogenic approach, simply because when you have fat stores on your body, well, when you run out of food, you just simply switch over to fat. You're in a fat metabolism anyway, right, with a ketogenic diet. So it's not that big of an issue for your body. And this way you can just go 2-3 days, do your 75-hour, your 100-hour fast, or whatever rhythms you follow. And then you refeed with a ketogenic meal. Doesn't really spike you, doesn't really kick you out of ketosis, and then you just simply fall into the next fasting window and you continue cruising. Yeah, you continue cruising like that. Also, you get your nutrients, you get your meats in, you get a little bit of fat in, ideally, your eggs, cheese, and stuff like that. Okay, this is stuff that keeps you satisfied. Usually people who run on these kind of diets are always pretty, okay, I'm full, thanks. I don't need much more food. Go away with that stuff. I can't see it anymore. This is rather the attitude that people have. While if you're a guy who refeeds on rice and vegetables, you could eat that stuff forever, okay? And if it stops, then you will say, give me more of that stuff. And then you will crave the chocolate, and then you will crave other sweets and carbs and stuff, yeah? So this is just a really basic tip here, really. Maybe you have tried it already. Ketogenic approach just keeps you satisfied and keeps you full of nutrients. Yeah. In the end, what keeps you satisfied is nutrients. Your body doesn't really crave calories. It craves calories as well. But what keeps you can eat like 3,000 calories of white rice, and you're still gonna feel somewhat hungry after that, even though you're full and you've got a distended belly and stuff like that. But because the nutrients are lacking, you're not still very satisfied. Does that make sense? So it's nutrients and calories. The ratio has to be perfect. And with a ketogenic diet, you're just taking the secure path and only follow the nutrients, essentially, and you're super full and satisfied all the time. Jordan Heller says, "Hi Manny, I climbed before lockdown around 7-8 boulders, and I can now hang on 35 millimeter on one arm. Is this weak or strong for the grade?" 35 millimeters. What I can say right away is that 35 millimeters is quite a big edge. Okay, this is quite big. I don't know if when I would grab a 35 millimeter edge, because I think the middle lower Beastmaker 2000 edge is 23 millimeters, and that already feels quite solid and good for me. And so if I would grip up on a 35 millimeter edge, it would maybe almost feel like a jug to me. And although it is not a jug, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's not a bar, it's not like a pull-up bar or stuff, but I think it's not super strong for the grade or anything. Also not super weak for the grade. Yeah, maybe it just fits 7A boulders. Yeah, that could well be. To me, that would feel like a really, really good hold. It's. I think there's probably people out there who cannot do 7A boulders but still hang a 35 millimeter jug. Bold statement here thrown out. But yeah, it's a big hold. 35 millimeter is a lot. It's getting really interesting. Of course, it depends on anatomy and finger length and hand size and whatnot. But there seems to be a threshold somewhere between 30 and 20 millimeters where it's getting really interesting, okay? When it moves essentially from second knuckle to first knuckle, okay, to last knuckle of the finger. When it becomes to a fingertip, a one pad situation. Yeah, if it's two pads like this, it can really feel like a jug, and a lot of people can hang it. But once it's gone into the direction of one pad, then it's becoming interesting. Then the finger strength really starts to shine. Yeah. And then, of course, we can talk about half pads and quarter pad crimps and edges and stuff. Of course, it's getting harder and harder that way. But there is this kind of threshold between the second knuckle and the last knuckle here, where a lot of people get selected out, yeah, in terms of finger strength. Mac the Bus, aka Milan, says Moinsen. What's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Lukandrop is back on the stream. What's up, man? I hope you're doing fine. How are you doing? Moin Manny, just wanted to say thanks for the campus port tips from the last stream. 136 to progress further to 147. It definitely is super hard to get from 3 to 6. Well, there you have it. That's what you gotta work on, my friend. So what do we have here? For B. Your opinion on training to failure on the hangboard. Should you train to failure? If so, how often within a session? How often within a week, maybe you mean? How often within a session? Well, only once, right? You mean, okay, you mean to failure in the sense of your fingers are opening up, because that's what you mean in terms of training to failure. For me, training to failure always means, okay, training until I'm completely destroyed, until my performance already goes down again. This is what I call training to failure, but maybe I'm understanding that wrong. If so, I would say I train 2 times a week the hangboard until failure, and I always do a rest day afterwards. And I always try to break my personal bests on the hangboard sessions that I do. I don't do a lot, especially now with the home wall. I find that the home wall sessions are a lot more climbing-like. They carry a lot more over into climbing performance. That's why I prefer them over hangboarding. Yeah. But if it's rather what you mean, that your fingers are opening up because the force is so strong and you can't hold it, ideally, you want to go to this point at every hang, okay? At every freaking hang. This is where it's at when it comes to max strength training. Actually, this is also where it's at when it comes to power endurance training, for that matter, okay? Let's say you're training repeaters or stuff like that. Go until failure, okay? Just add a little bit of bonus weight every time, every set, if you still can manage it, and try to feel out your limit, okay? Your limit is arrived if you cannot do, let's say, the 6th repeat of your 6 repeaters anymore. 7 3 7 3 7 3 7 3 7 3 7, and then you drop off like at 5 seconds instead of 7. That's what I mean here. You failed that set, right? You're opening up your fingers, you cannot hold it anymore. On the repeaters, you would want that ideally in your last repeat. On the dead hangs, you want that ideally on the last 1 second of your 5-second hang, or 8-second hang for that matter, how many seconds you ever hang. For me, it's 5 seconds when I talk about dead hangs mostly. So I would want to add as much bonus weight as I need so that I drop off after second 4, okay, between second 4 and second 5. This is just the right intensity that I need, and that I would want for every single hang. Is that always achievable? No, of course not, because most of us are not that good in estimating our performance, and sometimes we have a good day, sometimes we have a bad day, and this or that many bonus weight might feel very easy at one day and very hard at another day. So feeling it out is really where it's at, from session to session, every single session, and then add as much bonus weight as you need to get into that state. Yeah, I think the training into failure is actually in that sense, in the sense of opening up of the fingers during a session, is a good thing. Yeah, this means that you're working at your limit, and that's the only reason why we hangboard, to increase those limits. Yeah, to increase the raw physical capacities of the forearms. Mektabus, aka Milan, at Jordan Heller, I climb at a similar grade and have about that strength, just as a reference. Well, there you have it. That was the 7A at 35 millimeter question, I think. Old school Arco slabs can definitely be hardcore. Old school slabs are hardcore everywhere. Yeah, there's some hardcore slabs in Austria, some hardcore technical slab climbs, man. You would get desperate and you poop your pants at the same time, because usually falling in those is, rather uncomfortable. It's not like with so much falling space like in an overhang and stuff, right? Jordan Heller says, thanks, I'm trying to find what my biggest weakness is in my climbing, but I don't know many climbers around my level. Yeah, here's the right place to ask, man. Go for it. Jordan Heller, probably whatever you hate the most. Yeah, I've talked about the weakness versus strength question last stream a little bit, I think, probably, but I don't know exactly what it is. Rather learn how to use your strengths, okay, perfectly, and then focusing too much on your weaknesses. Yeah, this is also something that I've learned now with experience. If you're a short climber, you will never be good at big moves. Yeah, that's just how it is, man. This is also what I often say when it comes to why can't women climb as hard as men, or girls climb as hard as men, and stuff like that. From a raw finger strength divided by body weight ratio standpoint, women should climb as hard as men, actually, because they are significantly lighter than men as well. They don't have as much finger strength, but they are significantly lighter as well. What keeps them in control a lot, actually, is big moves. Okay, big moves. That's where they get selected a lot. Yeah? And this is how they can avoid it, by simply going onto routes which don't contain any big moves, which just contain, in a sense, small as heck crimp ladders. Yeah, and there they shine. Then they can climb 9B and stuff like that. Yeah. Can they climb a big move, Dino 9B? Well, probably not. It would not be smart to use their, to always challenge their weaknesses like that. At some point, you got to be smart, and you got to think about what's actually your strength, and then you got to select problems and projects according to your strengths. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's enough routes out there, man. I think I've talked about this subject in a little bit more detail in a quite recent stream, yeah. But just because this kind of discussion is coming up here again, with the you should do what you hate the most. Well, not necessarily. Yeah, not necessarily. Learn how to use your strengths. Yeah, this is something that's also at least equally important than knowing what your weaknesses are and trying to improve your weaknesses. Yeah. So let's see, what do we have here? David Hanser says, do you also think something is wrong with the grading in the new school American climbing gyms compared to old school Austrian outdoor bouldering? uh, that's a difficult question for me to answer because I have never visited a new school American climbing gym. Okay, I know new school Austrian climbing gyms, and I know old school Austrian outdoor bouldering areas. And what I can say, I mean, especially when it comes to one old school outdoor bouldering area, which is Merkenstein, which is to the south of Austria, the grading there is just crazy hard, and a lot of indoor boulders would not come close to that kind of grading. Okay, this is what I can say right away. Is it the case also with the American gym boulders? Could be, yeah. It would in general be interesting how American outdoor grading compares to, European bouldering grading and stuff. I have absolutely no idea, man. I don't know any American gyms or outdoor climbs. Yeah, I haven't been to the Americas for climbing, unfortunately, so far. Would be very interesting to do, and I know there's a couple of amazing areas, especially for bouldering and stuff. I mean, especially for bouldering for anything, yeah, even for multi-pitching and whatnot, that kind of stuff. But I don't really have the comparison. What I know is that old school bouldering gyms in Austria are super toughly graded, man. I climbed there I climbed the 7B, which could have been an 8A in another area. 7 freaking B could have been 8A in another area. That's how crazy it is, yeah. But then usually what happens is that once you get closer to the harder grades, it levels out a bit, yeah. So the 8As would already be closer to real 8As, and then when it goes to 8A plus and 8B and stuff, then you are pretty leveled out. The 8Bs, even in that old school hardcore area, are pretty level with other 8Bs around, simply because back in the day, they haven't really climbed that 8B yet. What they did was they climbed the 7B and just graded it 7B because they didn't have any other reference, okay? So now in hindsight, seeing this in hindsight, this 7B is just crazy undergraded. It could be 7C plus or something, yeah? But because they didn't know, and because usually when it comes to old school areas, they are also pretty resistant to regrading, yeah? So even if they find out later on that this kind of grading is just ridiculous, this problem already has gained so much status then and so much history and so many repeats, and everybody loves to write, wow, this is the hardest 7B that I've ever done and stuff like that. It doesn't really get regraded like that. It's not going to be upgraded. And in general, upgrading is something that rarely happens. What happens rather is downgrading, okay? So there is in these old school areas these crazy test pieces, these crazy old school test pieces in the range of 7A, 7B, and stuff like that. Usually when you climb like 8A boulders or 8B boulders or beyond, then things level out, and it's quite reasonable then, the grading, I feel. But beyond that, you can run into some big surprises, man. And you won't obviously find that in the new school climbing gyms. In the new school climbing gyms, grading is pretty standard, pretty solid, and pretty predictable like that, because they don't want to piss off their customers, obviously, yeah. And it's probably a little bit softer in general, but it's also totally different, so it's not really comparable. The new school coordination dyno thing, I mean, find a coordination dyno on the outdoors. It's going to be rare as heck, okay? So it's not really comparable. It's kind of a different sport almost. That's why I always say, if you want to get strong in the outdoors, outdoor bouldering, man, that is where it's at. Small, crappy holds, big moves. Shoram says, how many rest days a week is the best ratio? I tell you something, the more rest days you can get in, the better, okay? The more rest days you can earn, the better. Ideally, you climb one day or train one day and then rest the next day. Train next day, rest next day. Train next day, rest next day. Following this pattern, what you would get is 1 week with 3 rest days, and then afterwards 1 week with 4 rest days, right? So what's the best ratio? Well, the best ratio is 3.5 rest days compared to 3.5 training days per week. And how do you do that? How do you actually earn a rest day? Quality sessions. Going hard every session, okay? Going to your limit every session. You want to feel sore after every session. If you are sore after a session, you have earned a rest day. You can congratulate yourself. You can go into a rest day and then repeat. Yeah? And this is how you will get stronger the fastest, actually. And what happens next is that you get injured, because with this kind of new strength is you're going to apply it. Your tendons, your joints, whatever, is not going to be ready for it. You're going to get injured, and then you have to slow down a bit, and then you have to come back, ride the comeback wave, and then rinse and repeat until you climb 9A or boulder 8C or something like that. Yeah. But the more rest days you can get in, the more adaptation you have, the more adaptation time you give to your body. And this is essential for getting better. This is something that is in striking contrast to a climbing trip situation, yeah, which is always something that you have to keep in mind. If you're training to become stronger, you want to get in as much rest days as possible. You want to earn as much rest days in as little time as possible, so that you get a lot of recovery, so that they get better and better, so that you get a lot of super compensation. Yeah. That's my opinion. If you're on a climbing trip, going a 1 day on, 1 day off strategy means that you're going to lose half the time of your climbing trip for rest days. Yeah. And as I've said repeatedly, whether you have rested or not the day before a climbing day does not impact your climbing performance of that day significantly. At least not in my experience, okay? If I have an outdoor climbing day and maybe I don't, because you never know, maybe you didn't even go to your limit during that outdoor day, well, then you can as well throw another outdoor day right after that again without having a rest day. And this way get more climbing days in, and this way get more projects done in the same time. Does that make sense? And this is the climbing trip situation, okay? When it comes to actually taking the power, the performance that you have, and trading it in for projects, for success events. Yeah, this is the trip situation. And on a trip situation, what you want is as many climbing days as possible, to have as many chances as possible to trade in that performance for success events. Yeah. Will you get a lot stronger during a climbing trip? No, not at all. Yeah, not necessarily, because you're not getting a lot of rest days. You don't recover really. You're just burning through your performance and trying to get as many success events as possible. I can't really put it in any other words. Yeah. To give this a chance, you have to do a lot of climbing days. So these are the differences here. Yeah. Both have their place. Rest day has actually more importance for gains than a climbing day. Yeah. If you can earn rest days, go for a rest day. And what do you need for that? Quality sessions. Unless you're at Emondra, okay, and you train 7 hours a day and 6 days a week and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe to achieve Adam Ondra-esque level, you need to do that stuff. But who knows? Maybe Adam Ondra would benefit from a couple more rest days as well. Yeah, you never know. Yeah. In Cypher says, do you have any experience in crack climbing? What do you think about incorporate cracks in modern gym climbing bouldering? It is still quite neglected, in my opinion. Mhm. I feel where I live, uh, it doesn't really get a lot of attention at all. But this has only to do with the fact that there are not a lot of crack climbs around here. Yeah. So it really depends on where you live. I mean, if you live in the Americas, and I know there's great, absolutely crazy, great crack areas in America, and also in Canada, I think, and stuff. Well, then learning tread and applying tread climbing to the rock and stuff like that makes a lot of sense, right? Here, it's rather not the case. We have limestone here. More in the west, we have granite, and granite features quite a bit more cracks. And you've got some traditional crack climbs in Tyrol and on some alpine climbs and stuff like that. But here in the east, where it's a lot of limestone, there's very little cracks, and you're not going to see any crack climbing in gyms and stuff like that. People also don't want to ruin their hands and their skin and stuff for this, especially if they don't see really any purpose in it, because yeah, again, outdoors there's not really any crack climbs, so why should they train for crack climbing indoors when they also could train for crimps, right? And that's what they have outdoors. So and in general, if you're looking at the world of climbing as a whole, I feel like crack climbing and the very specific crack crew represents maybe like 10% of the big mass of climbers, while 90% is just the normal crimper guy, sloper guy, and stuff like that, compression, bouldering, da 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 da. There's so many styles apart from crack climbing. I feel crack climbing is literally quite a small niche. Yeah. So it's only understandable that people don't really focus on it a lot. Yeah, in my opinion, I also don't focus on it a lot because I just don't have a lot of crack climbs where I'm living at the moment, so it wouldn't really pay off. Yeah. Jordan Heller says, sure, but isn't being more well-rounded better for me as a climber? If I focus on my strengths all the time, I may just be good only at very specific routes. Depends. I will tell you that if your strength is crimps and you focus on your strength, which is crimps, you're gonna be good in a lot of routes. In a lot of routes, man. There's gonna be a couple of routes that are maybe not so fitting for your style. But especially when it comes to really hard routes, you're gonna shine, man. Yeah, you're gonna shine. So if you're really good at crimps, but you're bad on big moves, let's say, I would rather focus on the strength in terms of crimps than in terms of searching something out that is with big moves, because you need to do something that is for your weaknesses, for training your weaknesses. Okay, if that makes sense. Like, don't shy away from your strengths. Don't yeah. I mean, there is this and that. I would also say that this law is especially true when it comes to the upper grades, okay? When you're already coming closer to your genetic limit, to your probably lifetime limit, lifetime max grade, yeah? If you're coming close to that, then you gotta be selective anyway. But you're gonna learn that soon enough anyway. Below that, if you're, let's say, below 8A-ish in this region, from 7A to 8A or stuff like that, I would go with Yeah, of course, at least try everything, okay? Because still, as I said before, beyond 8A, there is not really much more you can learn in terms of technical gains, I have the feeling, when it comes to climbing. So below that, just simply trying everything is gonna learn and gonna train you a lot when it comes to technical training, okay? To get the routine, to have all those techniques done at least once, okay? Do some flagging, do some drop kneeing, do these kind of things, learn where to apply a gaston, where to apply a side pull, yada, yada, yada. Okay, this is something that you'll learn still beyond that. And there you can't really go wrong with just trying everything. Beyond that, you gotta be selective more and more as you get closer towards your limit anyway. Yeah, so you're gonna learn that soon enough. It's not really something that you should focus on in the beginning of your career. In the beginning of your career, you should try to get more variety in, because let's be honest, also when it comes to 6Bs or 6As or something, and let's say 8A is your max grade, your lifetime max grade, you're gonna do a 6A at some point as well, even though it is not your style, okay? If that even exists as a 6A that is not your style. Usually there is so many solutions, so many ways to get to the top in a 6A, that there is something for anybody. Yeah, there is not really that selecting big move. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really make sense to select a lot in that kind of grade, in that portion of the grade ladder. It's becoming more relevant the more you move up. Yeah. And depending on where you stand in your journey, it should be more or less relevant to you. That's what I want to say. Arlasse2 is on the stream again. What's up, man? Welcome back. Manny, do you think that wear and tear of the rock over many years will change the difficulty? That's an interesting question. I think it's less of a factor than most people would believe. Yeah. I've climbed on incredibly greasy 7As and stuff like that in super, super old school classic areas. Siurana in Spain, Adlitzgräben to the south of Vienna, Magalev in Spain, like super greasy, man. And they were still 7A. Okay, they were still 7A. They have been graded 7A back then, and they still hold up to 7A. Maybe it's now a little bit on the tougher end of 7A, but it's not like 7A plus or 7B or anything. Yeah, it can occur that these kind of upgrades occur as well. Like usually it's the case when you have a sloper or stuff like that, and this sloper was in the beginning super rough and is now completely polished. Then also the climbs usually get a lot more condition dependent. Greasy climbs are more condition dependent than rough climbs, obviously, because you need that kind of friction. And if it's moist, then you're having a tougher time on a greasy climb compared to when it's a rough climb, okay? But it's not that significant. And also what should be kept in mind is that with these things, the higher you move up on the grade ladder, the harder routes get, the less people actually try them. Yeah. So the people might try them more often because they have to project it and stuff. But because a lot less people actually try them, these routes actually stay quite climbable. And the people who try them have quite good technique already. They are pretty precise with their feet. No need for searching footholds and stuff like that, for stepping off rock and, greasing everything up and stuff. So it's a bit of a different thing. Yeah, if you've got this warm-up classic of a Greg where everybody warms up and all the other people also want to climb it as well because it's just a super good route with super good moves and everything, well, of course they are gonna get super greasy and super polished and everything. That might or might not influence the grade, yeah, depending on the style of the route. But as you get higher up on the grade ladder, actually routes are not gonna be climbed as much anymore. Not so many people try them, and they actually keep their original shape for a disproportionately long time. Now, will they get greasy at some point as well? Obviously, yeah, any route will get greasy at some point. We're not allowed to go and take the Stahlbürste, the steel brush, and go there and rasp everything off or something. Don't do that, yeah. Just let them get greasy and maybe let them get half a grade harder. Amazing. Then we've got a harder route. And you know already the moves, so you can actually train it. Train on them. So why not, yeah? I don't mind at all. Greasy roots is it's amazing. It's skin sparing. It's you can do some hard moves but save your skin. It's kind of like almost on the home wall here, right? Where I have super smooth holes as well and still be able to train without losing much skin. Amazing. Oh damn! Might keep it short today, guys. My voice is already a little bit sore. It was a stressful week, man. A lot of sessions, a lot of training, really good training, but a lot. And then I wanted to get this home building video, this home wall building video done, which actually was a lot of effort, man. Doing the voiceover, doing the scripting and everything, the cutting, editing. That took a lot of time, man. I haven't been able to take a lot of time off during this week, man. Next week is gonna be easier, definitely. Gonna take it a little easier. So let's see how many questions we still have here. Maybe we get to the bottom of the chat quite soon and then we can finish this thing off, huh? Let's see. MC, the boss, aka Milan. More well-rounded means less turn-off routes. One move you can't do because it's not your style. Working on strengths means pushing max grade, so do a bit of both is the key. Yeah, especially when you're at the beginning of your career, right? At the beginning of your career, very at the bottom of the grade ladder, you can't go wrong. Okay, you're just getting more mileage. Anything new that you try is going to increase your experience. You know the deal. The more you get up, the more you get closer to your grade limit, to your genetic limit, to your lifetime max grade, the more selecting project is becoming relevant. Yeah, the more knowledge of your strengths and weaknesses is becoming relevant, because then you actually use those informations to select projects according to your needs. Yeah, and trust me, if you don't do that, you will be very frustrated, because the fact of the matter is you cannot climb a project that is not your style at your lifetime max grade. It's not possible. Okay, so knowing these factors is key. Yeah, it's very useful. If you only focus on your strengths, there is less routes you can do, but harder ones. Very true. Yeah, very true. Where I live, most overhangs have a slab head wall. I suck at slabs, so I have to be picky. Why do you wear such an upsetting home outfit? Well, I had to take a shower before the stream, and always after the shower, then I use on my bathing gown. I put on my bathing gown, which is something that I learned last stream. What it is actually in English, I only know it in German, which is Bademantel. So I use my bathing gown, and I thought it's quite fitting because it's just so nice and red, and we've got you can't really see it, but we've got nice little red Christmas bowls here at the window, and we've got a little light here, and we're trying to keep it cozy that way. Azerbaijan says, "Hey Manny, how's the family?" The family is doing fine, man. Mona, how do you do?
Fine. Chilling.
Mona is chilling on the couch and doing a little bit of crocheting, I think it's called, huh? She's crocheting a little sweater for the little one, actually. Do you want to show it to the camera? Oh, she's gonna show it to the camera. She's pretty good already. You can't really see it. Why is it so dark today? Normally the camera lightens up automatically. Yeah, now we have a little more light. So let's see how we can, if we can show it. They can't really see the stripes. That's the problem. I don't know why it is so freaking dark. Yeah, camera issues, technical issues, but it's really beautiful. She's really talented, I gotta say. And yeah, the little one is growing, screaming around, crawling on the floor, almost, not fully. I mean, we call it crawling when she's moving around and lying on the floor and everything. But yeah, she's gonna get there, I think, very soon. She's grabbing around and grabbing for things and stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty looking forward when she's crawling already. And she's definitely strong enough for crawling already. This is an interesting thing, actually, when it comes to human development. These kids, they possess, I think, the strength for crawling, for example, already. The power with which she can use her legs to push herself from stuff is outstanding. Yeah, she's had a lot of power in arms and legs already. She can already pull herself up. Okay, if you give her your fingers, and she's grabbing the fingers instantly and pulling herself up until she stands, actually. Of course, with the help of these fingers, she's supporting herself by pulling on those fingers, but she can actually stand already. This much power does she have. But when she's lying on the floor, she doesn't really, I don't know whether she doesn't have the motivation to try to get from A to B in a crawling, manner, or does she lack the coordination? And probably it's more like this, the coordination of different muscles and really how to coordinate those movements to get the crawling done from A to B. This is what is still lacking. Yeah, it's not the power, it's not the strength that's still lacking, it's rather the coordination or the motivation. I don't know what really it is. Maybe a mix of both, but I would rather go with the coordination, because when we put a toy in front of her that she really likes, we sometimes have the impression that she actually wants to get there already. She wants to get there to be able to grab it. Yeah, but she can't, because she doesn't have the coordination to coordinate her movements in such a way that she actually crawls across the floor. So it's really interesting, the kind of limitations and how they are overcome, time after time, challenge after challenge. Yeah, really interesting, really interesting. David Hansa, did you take part at the mass COVID testing? No, not yet. So far, I'm still not so interested in it. Yeah, let's see how it develops. No, not yet. Shoram says, I know a 5C, which is so greasy that it can't be it, that I can't climb it. 5C. I climbed 7B. Wow, okay. I mean, that's gotta be a freaking greasy 5C. It's gotta be also a slabby 5C or something like that. Something where greasiness plays a huge role to make the climb harder. Yeah, this is very rare, though. I mean, maybe it can occur, but it's very rare. Sounds like a very rare circumstance. Andreas Krüger says, I fully support the Bademantel outfit. Way to go. Yeah, man, it's amazing. It's super cozy. It's just feeling awesome. Jordan Heller, she has the strength, but not the technique. Absolutely. You nailed it. Not the coordination, I would say. Yeah. But you gotta realize, I mean, for a human being that came out of the body actually fresh of another human being 4 months ago, it is what she can do already is actually pretty amazing, because I mean, they start from absolute zero, right? They start from darkness and just hearing a couple of sounds from time to time, a little bit of light here and there maybe, but that's pretty much it. No other inputs, right? Or very little other inputs. So to be able then to learn just, to coordinate their eyes and to coordinate their hands so that they can find their mouth and starting to thumb sucking and all this kind of stuff, all these really, really basic coordinative tasks, all that is already amazing actually for a human like that. Joram says, Kenji front lever? No, not yet, I think. Maybe she'll learn to climb before walking. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, it would be interesting. I also will screw some better holes, I think, for her on the home wall at some point. Yeah, it's a slab. And with smearing. Yeah, obviously. And then the smearing gets a lot harder. This is what I said. If you have a sloper and stuff like that, which has been rough and is now super greasy, it could be that it gets a lot harder, depending on the style of the climb, right? My friends, I think we made it to the bottom of the chat. Finally, my voice is already cracking. It was a very, very exhausting week, so I think I'll keep it short for this stream. It was a very, very climbing focused stream. I hope I could get some information across that is somehow helpful for you guys out there, for your training, for your progress, for your projects outdoors. Thanks for joining me this stream. Was a pleasure to do it again. I hope to see you next stream. I think we're going to complete the series. Next stream is going to be the 3rd of Advent on Sunday. Same time, same place here on the Demanitized live stream channel. I hope you're going to join as well there again. And yeah, until then, drop a like on the stream. That would be always appreciated. Helps the algorithms a little bit. And I hope you got something from it, some info. Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to go to bed actually. Maybe I drink another tea. That would be awesome for the voice, soothing the throat a little bit. All right, guys, my friends, we're gonna see us soon. Bye.